This is Mark Bell from supertraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions today for the Power Project, brought to you by thepowermagazine.com and howmuchyoubench.net. The question for today comes off the Facebooks, and it's about carbohydrate backloading. The guy wants to know, how do you backload using healthy carbohydrates? He kind of thought the way to do it was to utilize unhealthy carbohydrates that contain kind of refined sugars and things like that. I think what you need to do in cases like this is kind of use your head and realize that by eating junk, you will become junk. No matter what diet it is, no matter what plan you follow, no matter how you slice it or how you do it, or how you go about doing it, or when you eat the carbohydrates, when you eat them in excess, you're going to run into issues. And when you eat unhealthy stuff, you are causing a lot of problems for yourself. But in my opinion, the biggest problem you're causing is that you're reinforcing bad habits. And if you're a fatter person, then carb backloading is not for you. I've tried to say this many times, tried to warn you guys many times. For those of you looking to get bigger and stronger, and for some of you looking to gain weight, having carbohydrates surrounding your workouts is a decent idea. But an even better idea, the best idea, is to have balanced meals throughout the entire day. That's one of the best things for strength. Been shown time and time again from many lifters over the years. For some lifters, for some people, carbohydrates tend to make them sluggish, and for those individuals, you may have to adjust your carbohydrates accordingly. So everyone's a little different on some of this stuff, but in my opinion, carb backloading does not work very good for me. Carb night, however, has worked great for me, and it's something that I continue to do. And right now I'm about 255 to 259 pounds, depending on the day and depending on what I eat. So I'll make a couple suggestions here. If you're 20% body fat or more, then you need to be doing carb night. If you're 15% body fat or more, and you've just come down, you just lost some weight, and you've been utilizing something like carb night, or you've been utilizing some other type of diet to help you lose some weight, you're in the 15% range or so, you can now allow yourself to start to have a little bit more carbohydrates. And what I would do is I would have a post-workout carbohydrate. And that could be in the form of a shake, or it could be in the form of chicken and rice. It could be in whatever form you want, really. Some will argue that meals, food is always better than shakes, and I would agree with that. But sometimes the convenience of a shake just makes things a little easier. For myself, I'll normally do a shake because I'll have the shake about halfway through the workout. So to each his own on that. For me, I have no goals or desires to be a pro bodybuilder, and the body composition is just kind of a result of losing body weight. It was not really anything that I was necessarily striving for. It's just kind of a side benefit to everything else that's going on. So that I would recommend for some of you out there to do that just on days that you train hard. For some of you that are starting to get a little bit leaner. Those of you that are fatter, don't do it. Don't even bother having any carbohydrates, even in the post-workout, until you get yourself into better shape. And again, another reason for that, in my opinion, a lot of this is just my opinion, is just simply due to the fact that you want to try to develop good habits, and you want to basically try to put yourself through a little bit of hell, so you know what hard work is, and so you know how it feels to bust your ass. You got a little toothpaste right there or something. Hopefully it's toothpaste. And so you want to really work for it for a little while. A couple other ways of doing some of this stuff is to allow yourself 2 carbohydrate meals post-workout. So you could have a post-workout shake that contains 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates, let's just say. And then you could have a meal after that. When you get home, you could have some chicken breast and some rice, and have another 30 to 100 grams or whatever it might be, however it ends up working out for you individually. Basically, the fatter that you are, the more you got to really pay attention to your nutrition, and more than likely, the more you're going to have to pay attention to those carbohydrates. And the reason for that is that it's not that carbohydrates are bad necessarily, but carbohydrates are kind of what put you in this place in the first place. It's kind of what made you fat in the first place, because you weren't eating healthy carbohydrates. When you eat carbohydrates, it tends to trigger the need for more carbohydrates. I've noticed that in the absence of carbohydrates, that I care less and less about them. And I've noticed that in the presence of carbohydrates, that's all I can think about. So the more carbs I eat, the more carbs I want to eat. The less carbs I eat, the less carbs I care to eat. Put yourself through a little bit of discomfort. Get yourself comfortable being uncomfortable, and continue to work towards your goals. There's a bunch of different ways of going about doing a lot of this stuff, but in my opinion, some of the suggestions and recommendations made for carbohydrate backloading are not wise when you're coming from a chubby background. So instead, what I would do is I would employ something like the paleo diet. I would employ, and not that the paleo diet is any sort of great magical diet or any sort of great spin on a diet. It's just that it basically is going to allow you to only eat healthy carbohydrates. Try to find things that you can digest. Forget about the paleo diet for a second here, and just go with slow digesting carbohydrates and carbohydrates that you digest well. Just think in those terms, think in simple terms. So maybe right after your workout, or even during your workout, have a little bit of Gatorade or post-workout shake, and then after the training session, maybe look into some potatoes and rice and things like that. That's my 2 cents on it. Anytime I've tried to do carb backloading, especially the way it's recommended, I just blew up. But that's me. That's the way I am. My whole family's pretty heavy. I only have basically one person in my entire family that I would actually consider to be skinny, and he's a triathlete, so he's got a lot of exercise. Your family may be different, your heritage may be different, your background may be quite a bit different. Derek Poundstone just recently wrote an article for Power Magazine. You can subscribe at thepowermagazine.com. It's the new issue coming out pretty soon with AJ Roberts on the front. He wrote an article about nutrition, and he basically, all he talked about was his family history, and his not family history, I'm sorry, his nutritional history, how he grew up, and how his mom always instilled in him healthy, balanced diet, and that's what he still does today. And he basically just eats carbohydrates, proteins, and fats throughout the entire day. He actually doesn't really worry about fat that much, but he doesn't eat any junk. He doesn't eat any crap. He just sticks to healthy foods. They always say you go to the grocery store, shop around the outside of the grocery store, and never go down the middle aisles. To this day, that's still pretty good advice, but the grocery stores have gotten smarter, and they stick some of the candy out, especially this time of year when you got Halloweenus here. So look for that article from Derek Poundstone. It's pretty damn solid. Very basic. It's so basic that a lot of you are going to discard it, but the basics and the truth will always prevail, and those are always the things. A loud ass truck. Those are always the things that are going to prevail. Those are always the things that are going to be around forever. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the carbohydrate backloading is a bad diet. I'm just saying that if you are fat, or if you're a big fat fuck like I was, and like the way I grew up, I got heavy at a very young age. Weighed about 240 pounds when I was about 14 years old. If you're a big boy, or you were a big boy, or your body fat composition is out of whack right now, it's not the diet for you. You need to develop good habits, get yourself comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that is it from supertraining.tv.